Welcome to the Week 7 post-game show. It is Week 7. Week 7 is already in the books. That means we are 2 weeks away from the playoffs. Let's break down that Week 7 action, and then we got to talk some possible playoff matchups. We can do it as of today. Things are going to change with 2 games left and a ton of tiebreakers to go over. But first, let's meet the guys. We do have Shane, Fox, and Christian. We're going to jump right in and get to them in a second. Let's start off with what was the game of the week. Boom Shakalaka took down Good U by 13. They kind of dominated throughout, and by dominated, kept it like a double-digit game for much of the second half. And when it's 2 good teams, I mean, that's usually, a wider margin than expected. What did you guys see from Boom Shakalaka as they are now the lone undefeated team remaining? Shane, anybody?
I don't know.
Didn't see the game. So.
Is Fox not either? Fox
I wasn't on that court.
Oh, awesome. All right, go ahead, Shane.
Oh, it was just me? Oh, that's my bad. Yeah, no, I don't know. For me, I don't know. I thought it was going to be a lot closer, but I think kind of the biggest thing that stood out to me was you didn't feel like Jose Mercado dominated the game. I mean, obviously he had 27, but I think the biggest thing that stands out is obviously, Jose Mercado is the best player in the league, but he draws so much attention that you overlook who else is around them. I mean, Lucas Martin with 27. I mean, yeah, you would say, he's undersized, but the guy can pull up from anywhere and knock down any shot. Mark Belleville is, deceptively athletic. He's so good. Brandon Sweeney is dominant. They're just all so good. And I mean, Lucas Martin said after the game that they have the best 4 in the league. And, you could make the argument that he's right. I mean, no one's been able to beat him. No one's probably going to be able to beat him. So it's going to be interesting, but I don't know. I think, Good U obviously is a really good team, but I think Boom really showed just how talented they are. And Lucas Martin just talking about, they're able to control the pace of the game. They're just so good. So they can kind of go at whatever speed. And obviously with them being a good team, they create the lead for these big leads, and these other teams have to open up. And once these other teams open up and have to kind of take 4 shots, and they got Good U out of their rhythm because obviously Good U likes to move the ball around, and they weren't able to do that because we have to score quick, we have to take threes and all that, and that just plays into Boom's hand. They're so good in transition. So I think that was really what separated them is they were able to get Good U out of their game plan, and they just dominated in both ends of the floor.
Yeah, and for Boom Shakalaka, really getting Lucas Martin going early sets a different tone for that team. And, if it's possible to have a quiet 27, not Lucas Martin, I believe he also had 27, but Jose Mercado, when teams are able to match his size, and that's what he is, he's a freak athlete, huge player. When teams are able to match his size, it changes the way he plays, I think. And so they'll need him to take down Lob City for sure. They'll need him at his peak. And so a big win for Boom Shakalaka and Good U. So now Boom is 7-0, Good U 6-1, Lob City 6-1, and Boom has beaten both of them. So what that means is Boom has both the tiebreakers, and they are 1 win away from clinching that 1 seed, which then means Lob or Good U will not get a bye, as top 2 teams get a bye. So that's really what's at stake over these next 2 weeks. Let's move on to another game. We'll go Lob City. We just mentioned them. They are 6-1 after taking down the Boston Blazers 76-59. We'll start with Fox. I heard it was a closer game than the scoreboard suggested, but Lob City does get the win.
So yeah, you could definitely say it was a little close. It felt a little closer than the scoreboard suggested. There were definitely times where it seems like Lob City was taking over and just was in complete control. And I mean, that's really what they've done all season is they've had timely runs, which is, I mean, the most important part of basketball really is getting hot at the right times. So they're hoping to be able to bring this momentum into the playoffs because, I mean, the Blazers aren't a pushover team. This is a talented team they were going against. I mean, Jermaine Patterson out there with 25. They've got guys who can sling it, but Lob City was just able to keep up with Greg Holt dropping 26, Cody Crawford with 24, just able to score from everywhere.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot because Lob City kind of came out cold. I think it was tied at the end of 1, 13 up. And then they went on, by what I counted, I think it was a 22-0 run in the second quarter. they just kind of flipped the switch, and yeah, I'm thinking it was 22 to nothing or something like that. And they definitely flipped that switch. They showed what they can do. Vic, Cody, Greg, they all balled out. And then at the end of the game, when it was on the line, because it was really close, like a 5-point game with a few minutes left, Cody Crawford just started hitting his threes, and he really separated the margin.
Yeah, and so Lob City now rolling, kind of getting back to their winning ways, taking down the Blazers. Blazers, we can look at the standings really quick, 4-3. So they're now fighting for that 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 range, depending on how some things go. And they're one of those teams that was in that upper tier we were talking about earlier in the season. Another close game that I know Shane saw. We'll do our team. So Christian, we'll do the good fellas second. The halfway crooks. Halfway
You don't
crooks.
need to worry about that.
And yeah, we can skip it, I guess. Halfway crooks and werewolves. Werewolves by 4. Whoever's setting the spreads. This is for you, Christian. Whoever's setting the spreads for the podcast, doing a great job over there. We've with 4.5, so you guys know what you're doing with that. But it is the werewolves getting the win, and that improves them to 4-3. So we kind of have 3 teams with 4 wins, 3 teams with 3 wins after week 7, and they're all going to be jockeying. But it is the werewolves. Brian Yarcy, I said it early. He blocked my first shot, and I'm like, oh, he's trying today. This is cool. I didn't know, ERC was trying today. Awesome. So that's how that game started. But Shane, what'd you see? Close game back and forth, and the Werewolves, made just enough plays down the stretch to squeak it out.
Yeah, it was back and forth. I don't know, but I think the halfway crooks, it always seems like you guys are just not making your shots, and just it comes back and bites you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know. Zach Marikas had a really good game.
That's actually Kevin McCarthy, but yeah, Zach will take the stats. I still got to fix it. But yeah, that was Kevin. That was big man Kevin. There you go.
Kevin had a good game. I mean, I don't know, 29 points. I felt like he had more. He was just so dominant. No one could match up with him for the Werewolves. But like you said, they were able to make more plays down the stretch. I just, I don't know. Brian Yarcy's been a great addition, and Brian Heston, just always finding a way to get it done, just so solid on both ends of the floor. So, Werewolves kind of trying to get going. So it's going to be interesting. They're an interesting team. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to end up doing, but obviously I think the halfway crooks, if they get it going, they're going to be they're going to put whoever they do play on upset alert.
Yeah, that was very nice. Let me kill this really quick. Yeah, the Werewolves always make a run in that fourth quarter. It came again. Brian Heston gets super aggressive in that fourth quarter, and him going towards the basket is just a tough matchup for anybody. And so that's kind of what they've leaned on in close games. And I mean, it works, and then having Brian Yarcy there as well to hit big time shots, and their defense much improved as well. And so just like you talked about, I mean, the Werewolves are a team that are, battle tested now. Halfway crooks in every game. It's going to make for some interesting and fun first round matchups, that's for sure, depending on who plays who, which we'll preview after we finish getting through all the games. Let's do, I guess we kind of have to do Shady Dunkers and Island Time, the other close game. Definitely. And then we'll yeah, Christian's happy. He dodged a bullet for a second. It is Island Time, 73-66, earning their second win. So they are now
third.
Their third win. Wow, check out Island Time. All right, my bad. Yeah. That is me not giving them credit. Back to back. There you go. Yeah, I remember who they beat last week. Island Time 3-4. They take down the Shady Dunkers, and it was a big third quarter. Then they were kind of able to hold on. We can get Fox or Christian on this one. Maybe Island Time. I know they're clicking. What'd they do down the stretch?
So yeah, Island Time. I mean, obviously they didn't start off the season exactly the way they wanted to. But if you're going to get hot, it's better to do it towards the end of the season going into the playoffs. This is the best time to be getting hot, if any time. But really what they do is, I mean, they hustle. That's what Island Time has going for them. Kendall Gillian's their new addition. I know we talked about him last week, was his first week, and he was able to come out and hustle. He's out there. He got 8 rebounds. He's doing all that hustle work. Plus he scored 18. Jeff Winchell was a force in the post where he was hard to match up with. He's getting a lot of stops on D. I mean, it's hard to keep Aaron Gray to 17 points.
Right.
Because he's a very talented player, and it was pretty much Jeff Winchell on him for most of the game. Plus, obviously, Dexter, you up there with 21.
Mhm.
Just a well-rounded attack, doing a lot of different stuff right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Christian, what did you ask Dexter after the game? He was very impressed with your line of questioning.
Oh, I just want to say, Fox, great insight from your closet.
I know. Good, I didn't want to be the one. I didn't know if an outfit change was coming. I don't know what's going on. No, but Christian, you had a question for Dexter after the game.
Yeah, I just know Dexter's, he likes to put on a show. He's a wrestler. It's kind of his thing. So, asked him a few serious questions, and then I was just kind of like, if you guys are island time, I don't know why you're island time, but if you were to get stranded on an island, what are 3 things you would take with you? And I think he had other things on his mind, but he wanted to keep it PG for us. So I think he said like his phone, I forget what else, and then like a genie, so he could have like 3 more wishes. So yeah,
Right.
he's a character, and he played a great game yesterday too.
For sure. See that smile on Christian's face? Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that real quick. The Goodfellas, unfortunately, on the wrong end of a Duyer's boys beatdown, 86-44. I think that's the game I have open. Yep. And so now the Goodfellas, 3-4, so they're in that cluster with Island Time and the Bucket Chasers, who we'll get to. And we're also going to mention the Goodfellas when we get to the Ozone Boys, who like to call people out in their interviews. But Duyer's boys obviously continue to prove week in and week out. They're a team that's going to be a very hard out come playoff time. We'll go to Fox first, then we'll let Christian kind of rip his own team. What'd you see from the what'd you see from the Duyer's boys? I mean, really from the jump, kind of taking this one over, right?
So they jumped out to an early lead. I mean, you can see that first quarter line. They were up 20-7, and they just didn't look back. They showcase a lot of athleticism, which is very noticeable right off the break. I mean, if you look at their leading scorer, Zach Tartaglia, with 27 points and didn't even attempt a 3. Just kind of they're getting to the rack. They have some guys who shoot a little bit, but for the most part, they're getting easy buckets, and they're just making it easy for themselves to score, which obviously scoring is the key to winning. So that's really all there is to it for the Duyer's boys, is just getting to the rack.
All right, Christian, and as we scroll down, all right, yep. So what needs to change? Let's be positive here. What needs to change for the Goodfellas?
So what needs to change first off is I think you need an attitude change. You got to change the culture a little bit here, because coming in here we have 8 points as the top scorer. It's just kind of like a disgraceful display. I could do that on a bad hip. I mean, the offense is stagnant. The defense is lackluster. No one's getting back on D. I hear people whining on the bench. I mean, it just wasn't a good sight. Vincent Volpe over here, he's capable of scoring 30 every game. He scored 2 points, and we still lost by 40. So definitely embarrassing losing to, a group of your own friends, just kind of rolling over and letting them rub your belly like that. I couldn't, if that was me, I wouldn't allow that to happen. But, not everyone's that mentally tough. You know what I mean? So, I'm definitely going to call them out. I expect a lot better. And, what are you going to do? If you stink, you stink. So maybe they just stink.
All right. Well, I want to take all that. And then I have a question for Shane, because it was the Ozone Boys winning their 5th straight. And I think me and Shane already have discussed this yesterday. So the Ozone Boys are 5-2. So that's the thing that isn't going to, that is what it is on the court. 5 straight wins. They improved to 5-2. A big win over the Basket Hounds. We're going to get to that in a second. During that 5-game winning streak, they have wins against the Blazers. Their best 2 wins are the Blazers. Good team. They played bad, but they're a good team. That's not Ozone's fault. And then their next best win is the Goodfellas, who we just heard Christian, destroy.
Not a good win.
Right. So, but that is their second best win, even according to Shane. So, what are we doing? Ozone. All right. So first, let's get Fox in here. Kind of break. I mean, I know there's not much to break down, but Ozone Boys, no Hogan brothers, what they do, and then we'll go to Shane, who thinks that they need more respect. Go ahead, Fox.
I mean, they're going against the Basket Hounds again. Like you said, there's not much to break down here. They're gonna score. They're gonna be able to get to the rack. They're gonna be able to shoot. They pretty much have free range. They obviously have the size. It's just everyone was able to score what they wanted. Noah Berg up there with 37 points. I mean, they did what they wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if a game against the Basket Hounds is even worth breaking down at this point. But if you want to break down the
Wow.
Ozone Boys as a team, listen,
Wow.
if we're just going to be
He's not
straight
wrong.
up
He's
honest
not
here,
wrong. He's not wrong.
if we're just being straight up honest here, there's not
Yeah.
much to talk about with them. You know, they're a bunch of good kids and they're trying their best, but you know, they're going to get whooped every night.
We got Christian, on that,
Blunt truth.
on that. Yeah, honesty
You
trail.
guys got me angry. You guys got me real angry. How everyone's getting it.
Hey, but it was 2 or 3 points at halftime. I mean, the Basket Hounds played a solid half for having 4 guys, and it was a game. And then the Ozone Boys were like, all right, we're bigger, we can attack, and they took care of business. Let's go to Shane. So I'm going to bring up the Ozone Boys schedule while Shane gets started. But Shane, 5 straight wins. Ozone Boys, call me out in the interview. What have you seen from them? Where do you think they rank so far?
I don't know. A 5-game winning streak, it's not their fault who they play, they play who they play, Obviously, the good fellas, it's hard to get a read on who they are, and but they still put up a great game against the Ozone Boys, and MJ Notarani wasn't there for the whole game, so maybe that plays into it, but they still got the job done. They beat the Boston Blazers, so that's a great win. And obviously you're talking about, maybe their wins aren't that great, downplaying the Goodfellas win, but maybe that's but the Island time they now won 3 games, so does that strengthen that win over that team because they're playing better? So it's kind of hard, I really do. I think they're a good team. I think the Hogan brothers, Noah Berg, I think he really impressed me last night. Just, being able to hear him talk on defense, calling out picks, and obviously, it's the Basket Hounds, but he's still taking it seriously. He's still trying, and I just think that's so important. I think, you've seen the team progress over the past few weeks. Obviously, they had 2 tough games with Goodhue and the Werewolves at the beginning, but they're starting to get it going. I think they're a young and talented team, so that, just their youth and athleticism poses a lot of challenges to these older teams. So the GH boys is going to be an interesting challenge. Obviously, no Hogan brothers, so it's going to be hard, so maybe if they lose that game, you're going to be like,
no,
not going to understand. I mean, not going to, it's going to be, you're going to be like, it's a question mark because they don't have the Hogan brothers. So it's going to be interesting, but I think they're a good team. It's going to be interesting once they get in the playoffs, but they have the legs to do it. So
yeah, this is the kind of stuff we'll be breaking down when we do have those matchups. Let me just say right now, Ozone Boys are in the 4 spot at 5-2. And if the playoffs started today, they'd play the halfway crooks. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Oh God!
Let's.
God!
They're
gonna kill you, Joey. They're gonna kill you.
Well, listen. We'll see how that goes. Let's go to the Bucket Chasers really quick, who are also 4-3, I believe. 3-4. Sorry, giving people extra wins, taking wins away. Bucket Chasers improved to 3-4. They take care of the Stampede, 63-44. What Bucket Chasers really no big man this week. Right, so that was kind of the key for them. How would they do without Kevin? And Sergio really stepped up.
Yeah, so I thought the Bucket Chasers played pretty well this week. There was also the factor of the Stampede have seemingly been kind of falling apart this season slowly as the season progresses.
Yeah.
But the Bucket Chasers, they did score. Sergio Colombo was able to put on a show. I mean, he's one of the most talented scorers in the league, maybe. Not saying the most, but he could be in the discussion. He can just score in a lot of different ways. He has strong handles. He can hit step backs. He has just such a deep arsenal. And I think he's going to be able to bring this team a little bit further than they would have been able to go without him, obviously. I think he's really a difference maker.
Definitely. Yeah, and he came out really hot. I think by half he had like almost 20 points or something. And what did he finish with? Was it 29?
29.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he slowed down. He took a little bit of a hard fall there in the second half, but he was dominating all game. The Manfredo brothers were great, grabbing rebounds. They both have 13 rebounds. Yeah, they were using their long, lanky arms to grab rebounds. And then, the Stampede once again, they just kind of are starting to fall apart. Once Peterson went down, they brought on some new guys. One of them, I think Mario Valerio, I think his name is, scored a lot of points, but he wasn't efficient or anything. So they're just not looking great at this point. They looked like a top team at the start, but not anymore, obviously.
Yeah, and that's kind of the opposite of what teams are looking to do, right? Kind of, Ozone Boys start off slow, get their feet under them, and then take care of business, and the Stampede are going the other way. That is all 7 games from week 7. So I'm going to bring these standings up here. So the standings don't include tiebreakers. So that we're going to do in a separate thing later. But it does put teams in order by wins, and that, the power rankings are all fun and games, but ultimately it's wins and losses for playoff seeding. So this is more of the fact. Power rankings are more of the opinion part of this. But top 2 teams get a bye, meaning we have the 3 and the 14 playing in the first round, 4 and 13. Think of those NCAA numbers, right? 5-12, 6-11. Those upsets we like to pick in March. Right now, how it's laid out, and again, if 3 teams, so let's do this quick. If 3 teams finish with the same record, it's head-to-head, but one team would have had to have beaten both other teams. If that didn't happen, then it's going to be BPI, which is a weighted strength of schedule math equation, because not every team plays every team. So when 2 teams finish, if those teams played, it's easy. Whoever won that game gets the tiebreaker. So there's a whole bunch of math that I get to do, which is fun. But right now, like I mentioned, Ozone Boys Crooks, the 8-9 would be Island Time Bucket Chasers. Which one of these teams, based on seeding matchups, do you think could make, a Cinderella run, let's say? We'll go Shane first. What team are you kind of keeping your eye on? Forget the top 3 teams. Any team besides them.
Any team besides the top 3?
Yeah, I think that's not a surprise if they do what they're supposed to.
You know what? I'll say Island Time. I don't know. I've really liked him. I think, Jeff Winchell was saying this after the game, he might be the most underrated big in the league. And honestly, I was thinking that last week. He's really impressive. I think his size, his defense. So I think they've been going. And then Kendall Gillian's that addition. So I don't know. It's just a different dynamic to their lineup. So I think he provides a lot of athleticism. So I think, they're finally getting it going. Obviously 2 wins in a row, not against the best teams, but it's still 2 wins. So they don't ask who you beat, but how many. So, they have 3 wins now. So I think they're a good team. I think they have good balance now with Kendall Gillian. So it's going to be an interesting matchup to see how they go.
For sure. Fox?
So I'm also intrigued by Island Time, but another one to keep your eyes on is the Bucket Chasers. So I think they started off strong and they kind of stumbled a little bit, but I think they're starting to get their mojo back a little bit. And they do have a few more weeks, obviously, to get into the swing of things completely. And I think if they can get back into it, they can get some players hitting their shots. I think they could stir the pot a little bit.
Yep. Christian?
Yeah, and I'm looking towards Duyer's boys right now. I just think that there's a really good chance that they could make a run and win this whole thing. I think, like I said earlier, Vincent Volpe is really holding back on the scoring right now. That's literally another, between him, Kutu, and Tartaglia, they could combine for 80 points every game legitimately. Kutu's been out of his mind. Tartaglia gets to the rim whenever he wants. So I think that trio right there could beat any team on any given day.
And so Duyer's boys right now, kind of what they're fighting for with the standings on my screen anyway, they're in that 4-5 range, meaning in the quarterfinals they'd get the Ozone Boys or maybe the Boston Blazers versus being a 6 seed, and in that quarterfinal taking on the 3 seed like a Lob City or Good U. So that's a very different quarterfinal matchup anyway. And it's 1 game at a time anyway. You got to beat everybody to win the whole thing. So play them whenever you play them. But to not have to go through Good U, Lob, and Boom is, I'm sure, ideal for Duyer's boys. And, let them beat each other up over here and then meet them in the semis is really what the positioning is all about.
They also have the confidence to beat any of them, though, too. So
that's true. Right. I mean, hey, easier road's always nice.
It is.
You kind of leave less stuff to chance. But we've seen crazier things happen. A 6 seed last year making the finals, and, that's not an easy road. Taking down 3 seed, 2 seed, and then facing off against that top seed. So somebody's got to do it. We'll have more playoff preview stuff coming up. That's been the Week 7 postgame show. Good stuff, guys, and thanks for watching.